Hey, welcome to Aussie Online Growing on Shopify. This is episode number 89, and I've called it Facebook Ads Strategy versus Tactics. This is an episode that's come out of a few different things that have happened in the last couple of weeks around my Shopify store, my online brand that I've been building for 4 years and continue to grow. And also because of this podcast and the socials that I'm trying to now build out for this podcast and the website I'm trying to, modernize and get a bit more functional, and a bit of work I'm putting into the admin background and the marketing background of this podcast, Aussie Online Growing on Shopify. And in the last few weeks, I have found I've been inundated with sponsored posts on social media from agencies, e-commerce experts, gurus, quote unquote gurus, all spruiking their services and their products and their secret hacks to growing. And all of it has been around the language of strategy, or a lot of it has been around the language of strategy. That's really, I found really unsettling. And I wanted to share it in a podcast as a bit, particularly if you are a beginner in the online space, if you are a beginner in a Shopify brand or a Shopify store or Shopify business or Wix, anything, a product business trying to grow online. Maybe you have a podcast too and you're trying to monetize and trying to bulk out the socials and do some marketing and some advertising. All of the things that exist in the online space around building a business and growing a small business, I have found in the last few weeks, I have been so surprised and quite disturbed at what I have seen particularly around sponsored posts and advertising on social media and email, cold leads, so people reaching out via email around strategy. The word strategy is used and thrown around far too loosely. I am disturbed, like I said, a bit sad and a bit surprised how often people use the word strategy to describe what it is that they do, the potential of what it is they can do for your business, your small online business. So I have a small online brand. I started 2 Shopify stores nearly 5 years ago now, and I sold one last year. And so I sold one and I continue to grow the other product business, an online retail, like an online store in Australia. I continue to grow that one. I sold one last year. I'm starting another one shortly. I'm in the research stages of starting another one. And I'm trying to build out my business around my podcast. So I'm getting clients and reaching out, doing cold leads and warm leads and advertising and things. All of that space exists online, and you may find the same. You may even find that you exist in person or at markets at the moment with the product, or in retail, and you want to grow online. This episode, I hope you find encouraging or helpful as a bit of a center point. I hope this is a bit of a balancer for you, a bit of scales that helps you evaluate the content you see online from gurus and agencies, and really take a step back and just have a critical think about what you're being pitched from other businesses and its value, really, whether it's actually valuable or whether it's actually just a load of rubbish bundled up into something called strategy that makes it seem super fancy. All of that intro to say that may sound like a really fluffy episode, but I'm going to give you a few examples and I hope it resonates with you and maybe lands as something really tangible and really sensible that you can kind of send to yourself and be a bit of a, I think the word I want to say, what the word is, it says, well, there's a word for it, gyroscope, a bit of a gyroscope, to balance yourself and not feel sucked into the latest trend or something shiny and brand new and fancy that's bundled up and presented to you in the package of strategy. When it's not strategy, it's probably a tactic. There is a big difference between strategy and tactics. So I hope this episode you find it gives you a real clear delineation between what's strategy and what's tactics. So you may find that you're pitched by gurus and different cold leads. You get reach out, DMs and emails and comments left, right, and center. I certainly am surprised how often I'm getting them. But let's try and look at all of the things that are presented to us in the online space through the lens of actual strategy. And is it actually a tactic or is it actually strategy? Let me give you 2 examples to start off. And I think that will become really clear by these two examples of the difference I'm talking about. I'm not going to tell you which one I class as strategy, which one I class as tactic yet. Let me tell you the two examples, and then we'll go through and discuss why, what the differences are and why they're that way. One example was I saw a TikTok recently about using AI to start a small business for $0. So this sponsored post and video was by a guru, somebody talking about how they'd started a brand. You can start one too for $0, won't cost you anything, all with AI. So all with AI, you too can start a six-figure brand or a six-figure business for $0 using AI. I feel like I want to add on to the end of that. Really? But that's probably giving away how I see that particular piece of content. Okay, the second piece of content was an email I received, a cold outreach from an agency in Melbourne about enhancing my current website, offering an audit on my customer journey, and they would do an evaluation with that audit based off of industry benchmarks or niche benchmarks. They suggested my website might just need a few tweaks to increase the return I get on my current investment in advertising and my time, or it could need a complete overhaul, but their audit would identify gaps and opportunities to improve. That's the second example. Let me tell you, if you're in any doubt, the first one is a tactic. It's not strategy. The second one is strategy that probably has lots of tactics inside it, but it's fundamentally a strategy. That's the difference I see. But anything you see, I want to use global statements, anything, many things you will see online in the online space are tactics and not strategy, but they are packaged up as a type of a strategy when they're actually not. Using AI to start a business for $0 is not a strategy, it's a tactic. It's fundamentally something you can try and experiment. It's something shiny and brand new and like trending and attractive because it's fancy and no everyone's talking about it. So it's timely, but it's not a strategy to start a successful business and to be successful online. It is a tactic, and that's okay. But try not to fall for tactics as strategies because they'll be pitched to you that way. You will probably find many tips and tricks you see online. I use the word tips and tricks all the time. I try not to use the word strategy if it's not an actual strategy, because I will tell you, if you are in any doubt when you sit down to do some work on your business, maybe you've saved some TikToks or reels that you want to look back on and try and get some inspiration from. But if you sit down to do some actual work and you think it's potentially a bit boring and feels like mundane, it's probably strategy. It's probably important work. Sitting down to write a strategy, to think about, formulate, work through a customer journey, work through a return on ad spend or return on investment, work through why am I even bothering to do this? Where are my customers? What do they want? What can I offer? What gaps can I fill in the market? That sort of work is strategy, but it often is not very exciting, and it can feel like a waste of time if you're sitting down to DIY this for yourself. This podcast is a DIY option. You are free to take any of the tips and tricks and strategy I talk about and go ahead and please implement that into your own business and try it and find success and tweak it and learn things and have your own successes and failures along the way. And we'll just keep each other company because it can be really lonely to grow online. Of course, as well, you can reach out to me at Aussie Online, growingonshopify.com.au and book a free discovery call, and I can do this work for you. Like if you are a busy CEO and you have got far more important things on your mind and things that take your time, you just want some of that time back and want to know that this work is being taken care of and someone's actually skilled in it and thinking about it and can execute these projects, and I'm here for that. That's totally what I can do. But you can go ahead and do this work for yourself as well. I just want to encourage you that if you sit down to work on your business and you're drawn to lots of cool tips and tricks and tactics you saw on social media you want to try, go ahead and try them. But just be aware that those things are often tactics, and tactics are a bit of a waste of time if they don't sit inside a larger strategy. If you haven't already got a strategy written or formulated or thought through, some of those things that are probably pitched to you as a small business owner as strategy are indeed not, and they're just they're a tactic in disguise as a strategy, and they're not really strategy at all. So I thought this cold email I got was really good. And it was really good because it resonated with me emotionally and I felt a real connection with it. It already established for me the things that I knew about my own website, that there are things that could probably be improved, but on the whole, it's doing okay. And there will be some gaps for sure, because there is with every business. And it gave me an invitation to reach out to book a call, which I haven't done yet, but I've saved the email for later. So the email spoke to me about strategy, that the opportunity this agency was presenting to me was not a tactic, was not a, hey, let me double your revenue in 30 days, or hey, you've used AI to build, I used AI to build my 6-figure business, or blah, blah, blah. Like, what a lot of rubbish. Honestly, it's, those things are tactics, because 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, there was other types of tactics. So the marketing tactic, so marketing tricks have not changed. There will always be a new tactic that's out there that's pitched as the secret sauce, or the thing that'll solve all your problems, and it's not true. It's not a strategy. But things you might want to try, just be really mindful that when you look at this sort of content online, you don't swallow it whole as the solution, as like the overall solution to your business problem, when it's probably not. It's probably a little tactic, or something that you could try if you wanted to, but it may not even suit your audience or your brand inside a larger strategy that's already formulated, written out, and thought through, because you know your business and you know your customers. These people and these gurus do not. They are just generic, catch-all, catchy, shiny topics that are trending, that get them a lot of online traction. And I find it really disappointing when they're packaged up as strategy, because they're not at all. Like I said, if you sit down to do this sort of work and you feel like it's either a waste of time or it's really boring, that probably is strategy. That probably is the important work that everything else builds upon. The fun stuff, the exciting stuff, the latest, I don't know, trending audio or whatever is the fun stuff. But those things aren't where you start. That's not the starting point, not for success long term, and not to be able to measure things as well. So you can spend lots of time and energy testing and trying these tactics, but unless you understand or have mapped out for your business how they fit inside the larger strategy, you'll have no way of knowing what works, or if this tactic, which is disguised as strategy, is even worth your time. Agencies, when they're pitching to you as a small business owner, often present you with tactics disguised as strategy. So, like I said, for example, we can double your revenue using AI. That's common. I'm so tired of hearing about AI. I use it every day. You potentially do as well. Many of us do. And if you're in marketing like I am, we lean into using it because it's fast replacing our jobs. So it's important to be on the front foot with this sort of thing. But it's not the solution, because businesses were started and successful and succeeded and failed years before AI even existed. So that's not, build a 6-figure business with AI for $0. It's not a strategy. That's just a shiny object tactic. So ask yourself these 5 questions next time you see content. I'm going to say online just because that's where I'm seeing it everywhere, or get an email, or see a DM, or get a comment on social media. Ask yourself these 5 questions when you see that, to really center yourself and decide if this is something that's actually really a strategy or just a tactic, and is it worth your time or not. Number 1, does this sit inside a customer journey? Does whatever it is you're being pitched sit inside a customer journey, where a customer finds you, discovers you, hears about you again, gets to know you a bit, thinks, oh, okay, top of mind, remembers you, goes to your website, maybe reads an article or a blog, checks out a product. That was interesting. This is new. I'd never heard of these people before. Oh, wow, they're in Melbourne. Oh, they're in Adelaide. That's interesting. Oh, I like that stuff. That's really cool. I could really do with that. Just not right now. I'm a bit strapped for cash. Comes back again, hears about you again in a few weeks' time, gets an email from you with a discount or a code, thinks, oh, that is cool. I would like to try that brand. Maybe I should use that code before it expires, blah, 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 blah. Does what you're being presented with fit inside a customer journey? Number 2, does this seem common sense for your industry or your niche? Does it just simply seem like common sense? Common sense. Does it seem like common sense to your niche at all? Or does it really seem like not common sense? A little bit like too good to be true, or just like doesn't connect with your niche or your customers at all? Does it just not seem like common sense to you? Number 3, can this be measured Is there a way of seeing if there's any sort of return on investment for whatever it is you're being pitched? Can I measure it in some way? Is there some way of doing this and seeing the outcome and seeing if it was worthwhile or not? Can it be measured? Can this thing be measured? Number 4, does it feel like a quick fix? Like I said before, because if it is a quick fix, like the TikTok I saw on AI, that's a tactic, 100%. That's a quick fix. It feels like a quick fix. Does it feel like something not being a quick fix? For example, that email I got from an agency in Melbourne. That's not a quick fix, but that's strategy. That feels like fundamental, good, sensible, common sense, in-depth, measurable work that's not a quick fix. Because that's probably strategy if it's not a quick fix. But if it does feel like a quick fix or a secret, it's probably a tactic. And number 5 is that, is this being presented to me as a secret? Is this a secret? Am I going to be in on a secret? Red flag, everybody. Red flag. Is it a secret? No. Okay, that's definitely not strategy. That is 100% a tactic every time if it's presented to you as a secret or the secret sauce or my special secret. That's a red flag, and not something you should. I'm not saying don't do it, but it's not strategy. Just be aware that it falls into a tactic bucket, not a strategy bucket. This episode is really to highlight that there is actually a difference between the two. They're not the same thing. They are presented often, nearly always, to you by gurus or agencies or online experts, e-com experts, specialists or whatever, as strategy, but it's just not everything is strategy. There are tactics as well. And you just need to decide for yourself in your own business how much time you want to spend on each of those things and understand that there is a difference between the two. And it will help you make better decisions about where to spend your time and your money and your advertising budget. Okay, I'll be advertising on Facebook. Why? How much? To what audience? What type? Blah, blah, blah. So that's my little questions to ask yourself about this as well, to help you identify the next time you see something if it really does fall in the strategy bucket or if it's more of a tactic. I also want to quickly share with you, I might, when I edit this video after, I'll see if I can pop a screenshot on screen now as well, so you can probably pause and have a little look. This is my strategy, my meta strategy. This is my I say generic because it's like the starting point. This is the starting point for my ad strategy to succeed on Meta for DIY solutions. If you were to go ahead and to succeed on Meta and spend some money on advertising, maybe you have before or you haven't before, you did and you found no results, and you want to do it again, you need to, because we all need to be paying for advertising. If you are not paying for advertising, you're not a real business. Advertising is a necessary part of growing a business. This is my strategy for Meta. And it will be clear to you by seeing this how a strategy is different than a tactic, because tactics can be used in any one of these parts of the marketing funnel. So I have a customer journey on here, and tactics fall into any number of those spots on this funnel. Doesn't matter which part, a tactic will work anywhere. The tactic is not the strategy. This is the strategy. This funnel and this thought out plan and customer journey and reason why and ways to measure is the strategy. That's the difference between the two. So I'll just read the blurb for you I've got at the top of this, because you might not be able to read it by seeing a screenshot. So the good news is, as a small business, you are perfectly placed, particularly in 2024, to see success on Meta with advertising. You'll find success if you have realistic expectations. For example, here are 4 realistic expectations. 1, build awareness of your brand to get users to interact with you and your brand. 2, gather some warm leads and service those leads in other ways, for example, collecting email addresses. 3, reminding your existing customers that you exist and come and see you again. And 4, find first-time purchasers or customers who are looking to shop online. Those are 4 very realistic expectations of Meta and ways that you can succeed DIY, so for yourself, doing this yourself, or reach out to me and I can obviously set all of this up for you to get you back your time. You don't have to worry about it if you don't want to go through this learning curve. It's totally understandable. That's what I'm here for. But you can set this up for yourself in your own business. This is my strategy, it's my campaign structure. I use DIY. And I shared about this actually on a podcast episode a little while ago. I'm always testing new funnel setups and strategies to find what works for brand new brands with no existing audiences, or what works for a brand with an existing customer base, because those two things are different. If you are brand new, things that will work for you are different than what works for an existing brand with existing customers. Facebook ads is one part of a successful e-commerce growth strategy alongside things like email marketing and SEO, which is blog for me, like blog efforts and doing some basic SEO on a website. So if you want one-on-one support instead of this DIY approach, please book a free discovery call with me on my website, which is Aussie Online, growing on shopify.com.au. So there you go. You've got a little strategy there. This will give you an idea of maybe some things you could try for yourself, or at least a lens to look through every time you see some content online, to really not feel like you get sucked into like the shiny object syndrome and end up down this deep, dark hole of TikToks you've saved, reels you've saved, things you want to try because this new strategy will result in double your sales. This new strategy, blah, 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 blah. No, it's a tactic. Just keep our heads on square and think common sense through these things and answer those questions for yourself I went through before to really decide if something you are being pitched is a strategy or a tactic. So thanks for hanging out with me today on this episode. It was a bit impromptu. I've been thinking about this for a few weeks, like I said, particularly with my podcast. I'm trying to fill out the socials for this podcast, so you can head over and follow me on any platform you'll find me, except X. I'm not on X, but it's because I'm filling out the socials and I've employed somebody to help me with that just for a short-term like project. I'm really being inundated myself with agencies and gurus offering me some really questionable things. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. Aussie Online, growing on shopify.com.au, because I'm in Adelaide, Australia. Reach out to me through the website, book a free discovery call. You won't regret catching up and having a quick 25-minute chat. You can book it in my diary. Go ahead, book yourself a spot. We can chat for 25 minutes about your business and see how I can support you in your next steps. I'll see you guys next time.